Hey guys, so we are walking to Pure Gym this morning because it's my rest day and I have fasted cardio to do in the morning. Also, we're getting some steps in as well because I have to do 15,000 steps today. But we're going to actually do some posing there as well, get some rounds in, and also sort of discuss some tips that I can give you guys to perfect your posing on stage. Because I've actually been working with a posing coach recently. He's going to develop my routine for me because I find like piecing a really good posing routine together can be quite challenging, and I like for him to actually do that and show me like the transitions because I'm good at bodybuilding poses, but when it comes to actually more like classic shots, I'm not as good at. So yeah, we'll go through that. We're also going to take you through a day in the life of my rest day, and yeah, it's going to be a really good day of prep, not training. Just ticking those boxes, steps, cardio, posing, and then ultimately resting up so I'm fresh to go for tomorrow with push. So if you follow me on Instagram, you probably see me go on a bit of a rant yesterday about how a lot of people, like the reason why natural bodybuilding gets held back so much is because people constantly will just accuse people of like being a fake natty all the time, or just this whole natty or not debate. And it does frustrate me a lot when I see like physiques that are naturally attainable at the top level, and people are just like saying there's no chance, that's not possible. And most of the time it's always people that are assisted and not looking that good that are saying that. Why? Because like us, like men in general, like we always want to believe that we're doing our best, and if someone's better than us, we start questioning it. Especially when if you're taking assistance, you're damaging your health potentially, if you're doing it not without the required knowledge. In actuality, they're probably just better at putting on muscle than you, and you just have to accept that. Like, people need to accept that sometimes, that there's going to be the world-class people out there. Like, surely you don't question it when someone's world-class at football. You don't question Cristiano Ronaldo. You don't question people that are like so much better than other people at doing what they're doing. So why can't we just believe that there can be people that are world class at putting on muscle naturally? Obviously there is a certain limit, I'm not saying that, but people need to appreciate that some people are gifted. And I was basically, this came from me defending this guy, this 19-year-old guy that looked unbelievable, but definitely attainable naturally for sure. I could believe that. Yeah, so the account is Umar Fit. Yeah, check his physique out, it's unbelievable for 19 years old, but I do believe that you can do that naturally if you are literally like 1% sort of genetics, and you can tell he is that sort of 1%. And everyone is saying in his comments like, why do you have to lie? And maybe they need to think, well actually he isn't actually lying at all, because he is natural. So yeah, it's frustrating, but hopefully one day people will start to acknowledge it, like what you can actually do naturally if you work hard for a long period of time. And maybe one day, you know, natural bodybuilding will be huge and mainstream once people start realising that. People need to appreciate that everyone has a different genetic limit to how they respond to steroids and performance enhancing drugs, and also has a genetic limit to how much they can put on without performance enhancing drugs as well. So yeah, I'm rambling on a bit now, so I'll wrap this up. But yeah, we'll catch you in Pure Gym for all my cardio, run through some posing, and yeah, we'll see you in there. Yeah, this is always part of my fasted cardio routine. I grab a Monster on the way, get my drink, water. Quite enjoy it. It's those little details of like your routine and prep that you start to appreciate more and more so. It can be so monotonous, but you sort of appreciate it at the same time. So I'm literally just going to do 35 minutes now of lifts. And the goal here is just it's low intensity obviously, and to get your heart rate in like that range of like 120 to 140 beats per minute. So if you look, this is how I track it. I've got an Aura ring, so it can be a bit slow sometimes, but what I like to do is I just test my heart rate on here. Now I need to get it up to 120. You just want to stay in that range for the 35 minutes. Obviously at the end, it's going to get quite fast. Like you're going to get to that top end of like 140. It's not an issue. You want it, it doesn't matter as long as you're not going over that really. Because you don't want to like really ruin your recovery and stuff by doing really high intense cardio. So keep it low intense. You're going to burn lots of calories, and that's the main purpose of this. Minutes done. Yeah, this gym takes me back to like 2018, I think. My first prep was like 2018. I used to train here, and then I'd always do posing in here because the lighting's pretty good. But obviously now I don't train in Pure Gym, but yeah, back in the day, because it's just a 5-minute walk from my house, I used to be in here all the time, practicing posing in here, so it does take me back a bit. But yeah, so gonna give you guys a few tips on basically little tweaks and stuff you can make to improve your posing. I'm sure there's like some of you watching that have never done a bodybuilding pose before, and then probably some of you that do it a bit, and then other people that are pretty good at it. But you know, I want to help you all. You know, show you like the basics of how to set up every pose. You know, what the judges are going to be looking at and want to see, and how to present your physique in the best way possible. But before that, I do want to stress like posing is it's very individual. Not everything is going to work for the same person. Like you do need to just practice loads and find what works for you. You know, everyone has different strong points, everyone has different weaknesses, and obviously when you pose, it's about showing your strong points as much as possible in the best way, and then hiding your weaknesses as much as you can as well. So yeah, I'm going to run through a posing, and then I'll just get into showing you like what I'm actually doing. So obviously I've just done cardio, like cycling, so my quads are going to be really inflamed. I've got like a massive quad pump now. So this is me, rest day, no food, fasted look. So I'm going to be looking really depleted right now. Probably as lean as possible, but pretty flat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit every single pose. I'm going to do a full round, but once I hit every pose, I'm going to tell you like what you want to be doing in that pose to make it look as good as possible. So we'll start with the front relax. Obviously it's going to be quarter turns to the right. You're always going to just go to the right. Obviously this is pretty basic information, but yeah, turning to the right. It's also important you think about how you look when you turn and how you transition into every pose as well. You don't want to be looking like you're clueless on stage. You're like, if you do that, then it just looks really shit. And I feel like, you know, when you're basing where you come off like a human opinion and stuff, you don't want to be creating a bad impression like that. It's so important. When you're being judged, you know, that impression is gonna stick on their minds. So yeah, we'll start with the front relaxed. So there's a couple ways you want to think about your leg position and stuff, but firstly you want to be sort of shoulder width, toes out a bit. Obviously quads are going to look better at different angles and stuff, so it depends on you. But I like to have my toes out quite a bit, and then I'm thinking about pushing my heels inwards like this, and then sort of rotate my quads out as hard as I can, because the minute I do that, it creates that look. The second thing is you want to be getting all the detail. When you're leaner and you're like actually peeled, you know, all this detail up here will be showing a lot, and to get that you need to be thinking about like either you want to push your toes up or you want to crunch your toes down and like really crunch hard. This is probably the hardest thing. The thing is that if you're in proper shape, like it will be easy to show it because you're so peeled you don't need to try that hard, but like making sure that every detail on your quad is out, you need to stay on your quads. You may have heard that phrase before, stay on your quads. You know, you've got to be like this the whole time, because if I relax off now, all that detail's gone. So you've got to practice holding that. And then as you go into the front relaxed, what they're looking for here is lat width, you know, that top line width, small waist. So push your hips back to make your waist look small, bring your elbows up, get your lats out, and then just stay in that position like that. And you're going to hold that. So have your hands twisted like this. I used to make the error of going like this, and that flattens off my chest massively. So go like this, just hold that position. This is going to be the pose that you're going to hold for the most on stage, so you've got to get used to hitting it comfortably and being good at holding that pose. You don't want to be like shaking arms, you just want to be composed. Don't tense too hard, just stay in the position and hold it. And then you're going to quarter turn to the right. This is where the transitions are important, so I like to bring my arm over to show my lat a bit. And then you're going to have your legs facing slightly away from the audience, just to create that thicker look to your leg. You're going to have the foot facing the audience slightly further forward, and then you're going to be pushing your back leg into your leg, just to create that look. And you're going to start from here, you're going to come across. Now you want to think about your waist being completely side on, and then twisting your shoulders. You know, I've been getting help from Myron Max on Instagram. He's a really good posing coach, and you know, he's really stressing you've got to really work hard on that, like staying in this position and then bringing shoulders around as much as possible. So you're here, here. Don't make the mistake I'm doing right now where you're looking across. You want to be looking straight. So here. And then you're going to be looking at your chest, you know, your top line density. So think about bringing your chest up, curling your arm like this, and then on your obliques. Then another quarter turn into the back relaxed. For this shot, you're going to be thinking about like pushing your heels down again, outwards, so you're creating that thickness of your hamstrings. Then you're just going to, the same position at the front relaxed with the arm position in, but you're going to be leaning a little bit more this way, obviously. The audience are down there, so you need to be thinking about leaning towards the audience. And you're going to just bring the lats back, and you're going to hang there. And then quarter turn again. And it's just the same pose as I just went through. So that's the first round, and then you're going to go into the actual poses. So this first pose will be the front double. You're going to, basically this one's pretty simple, you've probably seen it a lot, but I'm going to tell you the small tweaks. So remember the quads, like pushing outwards. I like to vacuum, it looks best on my physique, but really think about this. Bring your elbows like tilted slightly this way to create that bicep pop. You want your arm, your forearm to be actually over your arm a bit. You know, people pose like this. Look how bad this looks. People do that all the time. Come back and then bring your arms back like this. And then remember to lean towards the stage, the audience. So then the front lat spread. So for this one, they're looking at your lat width. So it's really important that you're getting your lats to pop as much as possible. Don't close your lats off, don't do stuff like this. Don't think too much about delts and stuff, because people have a habit of going, oh, I want my delts to be big. But they're really looking at that V taper. So find a platform where you can push against like your ribs, push your fist into your body, and really get your lats out. So you're here, and you're pushing your fist into your body to get your lats out. But then remember, don't lean back like this, lean forward. Lean forward to the audience, because if you lean back, or if you even just stay upright, like straight, you're going to look at your stage pics and you're going to be looking like you're going to be hiding all of this delts and stuff, because they're going to be facing up too much. So the next pose will be obviously side chest. Think about your transition, maybe doing something slightly interesting. And then this is so important, you think about your legs, not being just side on, but slightly tilted this way, just to create that extra thickness, that illusion. So I'm actually facing slightly this way. Coming down, toe up, sorry not toe up, heel up, and all my pressure's on my big toe, so I can get this out, like my glute detail. It's about holding that, so you've got to practice holding that. Come down, in, so down. And AJ's given me really good tips for this, like you really want to think about creating like a big box in your top line. So when you're down here, you're in here, and you're twisting, and you're just creating this box. A lot of people think too much about the bicep. I made that mistake myself. I'll be doing like a side chest, and I'll be like here, and then you can't even see my far delt. And that's a really important thing. Remember, it's all about that top line width, small waist, that sort of T look to your upper body. So come down, up, and then twist here, and then stay on your glute and stuff. That's the thing I struggle with the most, staying on my glute. You just got to really practice pressure in your front leg, and then up, twist. The next one will be back double bicep. This is kind of like everything I just said regarding the front double, you're going to do for this, but you're just going to, like I said, for the rear relax, you're now leaning the other way because you want your back to be facing downwards slightly to the judges. So you're going to think like, go like this, bringing your forearms, like your hand behind your actual bicep, really supinate hard. And then another thing is like, get your thumbs under, don't do this. It just looks pretty shit if your thumbs are just sticking out like this, you're posing like this. It's like a little pet peeve I see when people pose and they've got their thumbs out, it just frustrates me. So the only thing that's obviously different as well for this is your leg positioning. So you're really thinking about showing your hamstring, testing your glutes hard, and then having your feet set up so you're very well balanced. You know, you're able to show both hamstrings. If I stand like this and I do that, then there's nothing to my hamstrings that I can show. And I really want to show off my adductor here too. So you're down, tense. In this position, you're up, do like a lat pull down, and then you come up. And it's the same thing for the lat spread in terms of leg positioning. And you're just going to think about this. A really good tip is don't cue elbows, cue lats when you do that spread. Don't think, okay, I've got to come here and I've got to go like this. Cue more, I'll bring my lats back, I'm here, and then just the lats are spreading. So I'll do it again quickly. Do this first, get your lats back, here. And then side try. So there's a couple ways to do this. There's like the regular sort of side try like this. So it's the same thing about what you do in the side chest. But what I do, what I like and think looks good on my physique is this side try. So I'm here, I'm showing my calf here, pressure's on my front leg, I'm showing my glute, and then I'm coming down. Another tip that Max actually told me, which was really helpful, I used to do side try like this, and my arm would be too far back. I'd be losing that sort of pop here. Actually, I'm now going to have my palm facing upwards. So I'm here, my arm's closer into the body. And as a result, my bicep actually pops a lot more. And then from here, if your physique suits it and stuff, you can do a nice little transition into that shot. Then it's going to be abs and thigh. So you can do a vacuum or you can just crunch down your abs. You can have your feet like this, straight on, go like that. You could do like something like this, but I don't really like my physique doing that. People do that. What I do, because it looks good on my leg, is I do like a quad stomp, just because my striations show like that. So I'm here, but it's really important when you do this, like you don't forget about this leg. This leg needs to be tense too. I'm here, and then my hands are on the back of my head, right here. People make the mistake going all the way down here. It looks really awkward. Just have it here, let them hang, get that lats to pop. Like don't crunch down too much, let your lats hang and pop. So I'm here, hands back here, crossing my hands here, crunch down my abs. And yeah, like I said, don't crunch down like this. Stay here. Your lats, you see, will pop so much better doing that. And then the last shot is just the most muscular. This one's probably the most basic pose. You probably all tried it before. You just basically just want to get your top line looking as big as possible. A couple of mistakes I've made in the past as well is like, don't think too much about delt width. Don't go like this too much. You want to find a happy medium, but you want to think about the shot that allows you to look wide as possible, but also getting that delt pop. So for me, it's just staying upright, hands round, and just going. Now you can mess around with this pose, there's a lot of different versions. So like an abs and hands on hips version. Like that. Or you can do the crab as well. So I like to hit this at the end. I'm quite lucky, so my scapula moves like this, so it actually pushes my traps forward, so it makes a really good look. So if I come over, it creates a pretty freaky look. But that again, it's just about getting your traps, top line stuff as big as possible. Usually I say when you pose, make it like a 4 out of 10, in sort of terms of how hard you pose. But when you get to that crab, you should really be going like as hard as you can, just to get everything to pop. So yeah, that's basically everything that I can tell you regarding posing. Hopefully that's useful, and hopefully you've enjoyed that and you can take that home. And you know, especially if you're a first timer, the biggest tip is just keep practicing. Keep practicing in 2 regards: the technique, get really good at the technique, find what displays your physique in the best way possible, but also you need to get fit at posing. That's so important. Practice rounds, practice holds, 8-second holds, and keep going into every pose. You do multiple rounds. The best way to approach it is make your posing as hard as possible before you go on stage. Like, do more rounds than you would actually do when you're on stage. So then once you're on stage, the posing feels easy because it's less than what you've been used to. It's less demanding than what you've been used to. I've made a mistake. I've competed many times doing this, and I'll be practicing posing, but not forcing myself to do the holds and rounds as often as possible. And then I'd get on stage and they'd put me through loads of rounds, and it would be, I'd come off thinking, like, fuck, that was over. And you don't really want that. You want to enjoy your time on stage, being composed, not shaking, not being tired. So do the work now, do the practice through prep, and then once you're on stage, it'll just be so easy. Meal 1, I've delayed my first meal because it's my rest day, and it's always the toughest day in terms of hunger. So I just pushed my first meal back a bit, and then I'm just aiming to have my meals spaced out by 2 hours. It just really helps with my hunger right now, because this is definitely one of the hardest days. When I have fasted cardio and then my food is pretty low until later on in the day, this just really helps. So first meal, and a really good meal if you don't want to cook and you need to get a high protein meal in, it's going to be Greek yogurt with protein powder. So I'm going to do 250 grams of Greek yogurt. So yeah, just weigh 250. So ISO 100, so diamortized whey isolate. I really like this one. It just mixes in so well and it tastes really good. So I'm literally only going to do a small amount of this though. 15 grams. There we go. You're going to mix this in for a while. Just keep going until it really mixes in well. God, I'm so hungry and getting like hunger pains. It's like once you start making the food, you start looking at the food and you're seeing how it's almost ready, you just get hungrier and hungrier. You're literally just going to keep mixing this for a while. I like to just make sure it's so smooth and nice. You don't want like those little bits. It takes a while. Right now I'm going to add peanut butter. This is really nice. I love putting peanut butter in Greek yogurt. It tastes so good. Okay. I love peanut butter. So what I do is I just set that to 0. And then I'm just going to take out until it's -20. There we go. Lick the spoon, obviously. This is like Nigella Lawson Bodybuilder edition.
You have to pick Nigella Lawson. Out of all of them.
That's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
And lastly, I'm also going to have on the side the 200 grams of blueberries. Right, so that's the first meal of the day, and I'm going to eat this because I'm absolutely starving. I'm going to eat it really, really slowly and savour every spoon. Yes, caffeine, I don't know why I'm showing you the mug, but caffeine is such a good tool to suppress hunger, but you gotta use it like strategically. Don't just like smash loads of coffee because your tolerance is gonna go down. And also the most important thing for my is to use my caffeine for my training. So I do try, like if I'm in the off season, I really avoid caffeine on rest days. You know, rest days there, like I don't need it. I can help my tolerance a bit and then really feel the caffeine when I go into training. But now I'm at a point now where it's like, I'm gonna start enjoying the coffees because firstly, there's no calories in them. Black coffees, they taste good. I love the taste of coffee and it does help with your appetite. So it's just gonna help power me through over the next couple meals, which is just protein based. And then I'll just be fine. Like also just avoid having caffeine past 3 p.m. I guess. Like it has a half-life of like 12 hours I think, so caffeine just stays in your system for a lot longer than you think. So if you're having lots of caffeine later on in the day, chances are you're going to interfere with your sleep, so just be aware of that. That was hot. Fuck. It's burnt my tongue. So it is now the evening and I have my final meal here. So this is 100 grams of oats, 26 grams whey isolate, 100 grams of raspberries, 25 grams of 85% dark chocolate, and 20 grams of nut butter. So I have most of my carbs at the end of my rest day, just because it's so important to get your carbohydrates nearest to your session the next day. You know, utilize your carbs at the right time. I don't want to be having high carbs when I'm going to go out and do lots of steps and burning through that glycogen. So now I'm going to rest up on this food, and by the time I'm training tomorrow, I'm going to be utilizing those carbs really, really well. And yeah, this is my last meal of the day. I usually have this an hour before bed. Gonna just chill out now, relax, and enjoy this meal. There's 20 grams of nut butter and dark chocolate just to slow down the absorption rate of the carbs. You know, oats are also slow processing. So really just making sure that this food is taking time to digest so I can get protein synthesis running throughout the night for longer, but also just holding these carbs for as long as possible so I can utilize it in my session tomorrow. Hopefully you guys really enjoyed this video. It's been a very different type of video. Usually I'm always in the gym, and yeah, I just really want to make sure this YouTube is versatile and showing you every single aspect of prep. You know, what goes on at home as well as what's going on in the gym, pretty much. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to get so many more videos to come throughout this whole series, and even afterwards. You know, I really enjoyed this whole YouTube series so far, and I'm just so glad to have you guys supporting me. You know, every little comment means so much, to know that there are people here really enjoying the videos that I'm making, and that's just spurring me on to just keep doing it. And yeah, you know, it's growing slowly, and yeah, the support I've had so far has just been so good. I didn't expect it, considering I'm a small Instagram account, only 3,000 followers. I didn't expect you know, people to be watching like this. So yeah, it's so exciting. Please like and subscribe. Like I said, just show your support, comment everything, share this profile if you can. But most importantly, regardless, I'm just going to be making these videos for you and also myself, because yeah, it's been so fun so far. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you again very soon.